Gilmore Girls gets therapized. When family time becomes an obligation, resentment is sure to follow. Mended light. Alright, I'm taking a look at Season 3, Episode 18, Happy Birthday Baby, where Lorelai has an explosive and unexpected fight and argument with her parents, Richard and Emily. If you've ever walked into a situation that you thought was going to be a positive one and it just explodes in your face, you're going to be able to relate. So the situation, of course, is at the beginning of the show, Lorelai was estranged from her mother and her father, but she'd had nowhere else to turn when her daughter Rory was going to go to Chilton, a prep school, and Lorelai didn't have money. The parents agreed to give her money to pay for Rory's schooling as long as they came every Friday night to dinner to spend time with them. This was Emily's manipulative but also desperate way to get her daughter and her granddaughter back into her life. I don't agree with Emily using compulsion to spend time with family, but I do understand where it comes from. She was missing these years with these women who she loved, and so they have had these Friday night dinners for 3 years, and Lorelai surprises them, I'm gonna pay back the debt.
Happy birthday, dear Lorelai. Happy birthday to you. You can take the cake into the kitchen now, Teresa.
Wait, aren't I supposed to blow them out?
Oh, Teresa can do that.
Mom, it's tradition for the person whose name is on the cake to do the blowing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought only children like to do that. Should we bring it back out and relight it?
No.
Well, would you like to make a wish and blow out the tapers?
Why am I being mocked on my birthday?
Because that's the Gilmore way.
Huh.
Let's move into the living room for our dessert, shall we?
Let's shall.
Such an Emily line. I thought only children like to do that.
For cake.
Are you sure? Because I don't want to miss the fancy party you're throwing me.
Don't worry, it's not that fancy.
What are the two of you whispering about?
Nothing.
Champagne?
Trying to get me drunk so I forget that you wouldn't let me blow out my own candles?
Oh, dear. Is this going to be another one of those stories that you tell people for the rest of your life, like the bunny story?
His name was Murray, Mom.
Oh, Emily, you had to bring that up.
How could you think I wouldn't notice you gave away my rabbit?
Because you were 4 and terrified of the thing.
I was not terrified. I simply respected his space.
You slept in the maid's room for a week.
I wonder where Murray is now.
In a shoebox somewhere, I assume.
Grandpa.
Very nice, and on my birthday.
Richard can be dark.
To Lorelai on her 36th birthday.
35th.
Really?
You're doing the math?
Right, sorry.
So looking at some of the dynamics here before the big blow up, there's always underlying simmering tension between Lorelai and her parents. Even when things are cordial and good, there's this hurt that goes in all directions because Lorelai got pregnant, in high school, refused to marry the father, and decided to raise her daughter on her own, and denied the very specific planned, laid out life that her parents had for her to go to a specific university, to go to Yale, to get involved in her father's business, and to marry someone who was upper class and Ivy League, that she chose and created her own life. And because of the judgments of her parents, Lorelai withdrew for a long time. And that's where the Friday night dinner started. As I was saying, it was a way to rope them back in and to have them be a family again. The issue is that people in this family don't take accountability. They don't reflect on past behaviors and say, even though that was the best I knew at the time, I can still see that it hurt you and I'm sorry. They don't engage in perspective taking. They're not great at accepting influence. What they're really good at is sweeping everything under the rug and then dealing with the hurt through little passive aggressive jabs. So a lot of their banter right underneath it is pain. From the I thought only children like to blow their candles out to happy 36th birthday, I don't think he's actually digging at her. I think he just doesn't know what year it is for her. But the fact that she is insulted and offended by that instead of just, my dad isn't keeping his numbers straight. But the fact is there's always pain, hurt, and anger simmering just beneath the surface in this family. And that is something called negative sentiment override, which is, I want you to imagine a stove with a pot of water on it. And if you set the stove to 9, the water's going to boil over. Well, what if you put it down to 7 or an 8 and it just stays there? The water is always nearly scalding hot. It's not quite boiling, but it's so close to boiling that just a nudge from 7 or 8 up to 9, and it's going to boil over. Similarly, in our relationships, if we've got unresolved hurts, if we've got unresolved complaints, if we have yet to apologize, to forgive, to change, to grow, to take ownership, or to offer unconditional acceptance and love, if we have yet to do those things, then we may find ourselves sitting at a 7 or an 8, sitting in negative sentiment override. And the smallest thing can set us off and will boil over. And this is no small thing that's about to happen.
To Lorelai on her 35th birthday.
Here, here.
Thank you for the toast. Thank you for the dinner. And in the spirit of the evening, Mom, I have something for you.
For me? It's not my birthday.
I know, but here.
What is this?
It's from Murray. It's taken him this long to write it, partially because of the hurt and pain, and partially because he has pause.
What is this?
That is what I owe you.
What you owe me?
For Rory's school. I promised you I'd pay you back, and now I have, every cent. Thank you again for helping us out. There's no way Rory would be going to Yale if it wasn't for this money, if it wasn't for you.
You're welcome.
Okay, so,
You must be very relieved.
excuse me?
Your debt is paid. You owe us nothing.
Well, yeah.
You don't need us anymore.
I didn't say...
You don't have to deal with us. You don't have to come over for Friday night dinners. It all works out beautifully, doesn't it?
This isn't about that, Mom.
Oh, no?
No, I owed you money, and I paid you back.
I don't want it.
I can't believe you're mad that I'm paying you back.
I'm not mad. I just think it's extremely unkind of you to use this occasion to inform me you won't be coming over anymore.
I didn't say that.
This said that.
Mom, let me ask you something. Wouldn't you rather we came over here because we wanted to, not because of some threat you're holding over our heads?
There's a lot of assuming going on here. And assuming can be a protective instinct. If you think about our past as hunter-gatherers, if you assume that the shadow in the woods is something that can kill you, that assumption might keep you alive, right? That you're going to steer clear of that area. If you assume threats, then that can keep you safe. And the same thing is true emotionally, or at least seems to be, feels to be. If this is a threat, then I can wall up. I can protect myself. Emily sees this as a threat. Lorelai is literally merely saying, I'm paying you back. She's not saying we're not coming over to Friday night dinners anymore. But because Emily assumes that Lorelai is only coming because of the money, and frankly, it's a safe assumption. It's a fair assumption. At least when the show started, 3 seasons ago, that is the only reason Lorelai was coming over. What Emily is failing to see is growth. What she's failing to see is we've actually bonded, we've actually connected. This has become something that we all enjoy. And why is she failing to see that? Because she's afraid to. If she sees that, and she believes that, and she's wrong, it's going to break her heart that her daughter and her granddaughter aren't going to be part of her life anymore. Unfortunately, instead of having the conversation and just being real and vulnerable and accountable, she's making an assumption and going on the attack. She's going on the defensive. If I had them in my therapy office, the direction that I would be giving is, Emily, you don't know that this is the end of anything. You're afraid that it is. And what I'm going to ask you to do is express to Lorelai that fear, as well as how much you have come to value and enjoy the time that you spend with her, and that you don't want to lose that. Let your daughter know you don't want to control her, you love her, you enjoy her, you appreciate her, and you want her in your life still. And that you're afraid that you're going to lose that because she's paying you back. And then let Lorelai respond. And for Lorelai's part, I understand why she's responding the way she's responding. She thought this was going to be a positive conversation, and she feels very proud that she's able to pay this money back. And perhaps because she didn't anticipate this moment, she feels blindsided. And that can be hard to pivot in the moment when you're feeling attacked or overwhelmed or flooded. What I would encourage Lorelai to do right here is to take some slow, deep breaths so that she can regulate her very natural defensive response and engage in perspective taking. Why is Emily acting this way right now? And what can you do to reassure her? And how is Emily's behavior making you feel? Because you can express that calmly. Mom, I'm feeling very attacked by you right now. And I don't think you're meaning to attack me. I imagine you're just scared that you're not going to see us anymore. I need you to know that I love you too. And we're going to keep coming to Friday night dinners. I just wanted to pay you back.
Oh, and you would come here voluntarily.
I always said I would pay you back. This is not a surprise.
No, it certainly isn't.
I was trying to do a good thing here. When Dad gave me the money, one of the first things that jumped into my head was to...
When Dad gave you the money? When Dad gave her the money?
Now, Emily,
You gave her this?
it was her money.
It was from that investment, Mom.
I'd appreciate it if you'd stay out of this.
Why are you mad at me?
I told you not to tell your mother about that money.
When did you tell me that?
At lunch.
You did not.
I did too.
Dad, I swear you didn't tell me not to tell Mom.
Why do you think I met you in the day at a restaurant, Lorelai?
So Richard is now making an assumption that he communicated clearly when he didn't at all. He met her at a restaurant during the day and thought that was clearly sending the message, don't tell your mother. But that's not the same thing as actually having that conversation. And don't tell your mother. It's not a great idea as a married person anyway to keep secrets from the person that you're married to.
Think.
You kept this from me, Richard?
I knew you would be upset.
You lied to me.
I had to give it to her. I was legally obligated.
You're also legally obligated to your wife.
Mom.
Don't you talk to me.
Now you're overreacting.
Don't you talk to me either.
Don't be mad at Dad.
Stay out of this.
I just...
Well, don't.
Mom, please. Just because I gave you this money doesn't mean we're never going to come over here again. We will come over. Maybe not every week, but there will be the occasional Friday night dinners.
No, there won't.
Grandma,
I don't need anybody doing me any favors. You are released from your obligation, Lorelai. Have a nice birthday, have a nice life. I'm going to bed.
Dad?
Not now.
That last part, before walking away, I probably would not have interrupted in therapy. And I'll tell you why. Sometimes I interrupt because it's not going to go anywhere productive, it's not going to go anywhere helpful. Sometimes I sit back as a family therapist because I want to observe how the fights happen so that I can know where the pivot points are for the future or for this session. And I need to understand the dynamics, I need to understand the conversation patterns, the things that we do over and over and over again, because we often fight the same way. Even if the topics change and we fight about different things, the way we fight tends to be fairly consistent. And this family engages a lot in blaming, a lot in jumping to conclusions, a lot in catastrophizing and seeing things in the very worst way possible, and a lot in telling each other what to do. There's not a lot of respect for autonomy. There is a lot of, you will do things my way, and if you don't, you're disrespecting me. But it's not disrespect to say as an adult, I'm not going to do things your way. It's saying I respect my free will enough that I'm going to choose what I want and what works best for me. And I'm going to do so without stepping on you. I'm going to do so without burning bridges if I can. It's a double insult to tell someone what to do and then tell them that they're disrespecting you if they don't comply. So at the end of this blow up, when Emily's about to leave, if they were in my therapy office, I would say, Emily, you're asking me to help you. You're hurt and you're angry. And maybe you need some time. But I know you don't actually want to not have your daughter and your granddaughter in your life. Would you please come sit back down so we can continue this conversation, and I will help us steer it in a positive direction. Richard did give Lorelai her money. It was her investment money. It was owed to her, and she wanted to use it to pay her mom off. Emily assumes it was to get rid of her and to be free of the obligation, and you know what? She's half right. Lorelai doesn't like to be obligated. She wants to come of her own free will. That's a pure family relationship. When family relationships are built on obligation, resentment sets in. And that resentment can boil over. If you have to be there for Sunday dinners, if you have to be there for Thanksgiving, if you have to be there for Christmas, you may find yourself loathing the experience and holding a grudge against the people who say you have to go. What happens if it becomes a choice? And what happens if, okay, it may never be a choice, it's always going to be expected, but you can choose how you engage and how you show up. You can choose to be present, to be grateful, and to be connected. Or you can suffer through it every single time. The fact is, family obligations only feel like obligations when we don't feel safe, respected, and loved. When we feel safe, respected, and loved, there's no family obligation. There's just the things that we do for family because we want to do them. And this all feels like an obligation to Lorelai, and she wants to get rid of that, but she is acknowledging we'll still come sometimes because you know what? We're actually starting to enjoy it. And that's what Emily missed, and that's what I would help her to see. So how do you manage family obligations and the resentment that crops up? What advice would you give the characters in this scene if you were their therapist or their friend and had the opportunity to get their ear for a second? Let me know in the comments below. I've got an entire playlist of Gilmore Girls Gets Therapized videos for you. The link is in the description below. So go ahead and peruse and have a grand old time. Until next time, keep shining. We need your light.